What's up, boys? Welcome to the third episode of Ringside Talk. I'm Stephen Laurie. Here with me, same as last week, is Michael Pupo. And we have a special guest star on our hands, man. Some of you might know him from the baseline. Yeah, cover your mouth a little bit, Ed. But yeah, welcome to your debut on Ringside Talk, buddy. We missed last week, man. So what was that, Ed? Your mic was a little bit muted.
Thanks, man.
No problem, kid. Um, we wanted to get into. We missed last week, so we wanted to get into Jake Paul a little bit because we didn't get to really talk about that at all. Mike's a big Jake Paul fan. I'm not a big Jake Paul fan, so we could have a pretty good discussion about this. Me personally, I'm happy for Tommy Fury. I've been saying for a long time I couldn't wait for Tommy Fury to come in here and beat Jake Paul. The kid couldn't even come out of his house without hearing that Jake Paul was going to destroy him, beat him. You know what I mean? And then for 2.5 years, man, that's all this kid heard was how Jake Paul was gonna beat him and just beat him up and kill him and stuff like that. And you know what I mean? And then for him to come out here and beat Jake Paul and swear to God that he was going to exploit all of Jake Paul's boxing fundamentals and stuff like that, which he did, in my opinion. I mean, Jake Paul kind of just relies on that overhand right, it seems like. And if you watch boxing, you can kind of tell that Jake Paul was gassed by the third round. You really could. He was sweating his balls off, dude. He was trying to hold his hair behind his head like that. You know, like he was gassed, dude. You could even kind of see his corner like telling him to chill. Yeah, but like I said, I'm happy for Tommy Fury. I'm hoping that he stays and kind of fights like those type of dudes like Jake Paul because he's an experienced boxer. There's a lot of money in it, and he can do well for himself and his young family that he has there. So I'm hoping that he stays in and does what he's doing and wins. But yeah, let's hear what you got to say about it, Mike.
Um, yeah, I think Jake would have been lucky to get a decision, or I mean, a draw. Definitely Tommy won the fight, outboxed him. Like you said about the overhand right, like I've never noticed that really, like throughout Jake's previous fights before that, like his, you know what I mean, like he would duck, he would like, he would try to throw that left jab, and then like he'd get his head down and just come over with the
Right.
overhand right multiple throughout
It
the
looked like
entire
he was
fight.
doing it so much, man. Like
Yeah,
almost every 3-4 punches, he was trying to connect with that overhand, and Tommy was seeing it.
yeah, and that may be why I didn't notice it in his previous fights, because for some reason he was just doing that throughout the entire fight, every single round. Tommy definitely outboxed him, and for all the stuff that Jake talked about before the fight and all this stuff, and I mean, I wanted obviously Jake to win. Like you said, I like watching Jake win, and there is a rematch clause in their fight contract. So I was watching Impulsive today. Jake was on it, and he was saying about how he'll do that sometime down the line. But like realistically, like I think if Tommy wants to come back and fight him, he has to put a definitive like a definitive win, like actually just maul Jake Paul, because like I mean Jake did knock him down in the last round, I believe it was. Um, but obviously it just watching the fight, if you watch it start to finish, like Jake obviously lost that fight,
He got
and
outboxed.
yeah, he got outboxed. Like if he would have connected on one of those, yeah, it might have been a different story. But like you said, Tommy saw it coming the whole time, and so did everybody who was watching it, because it was so frequent. Frequent. It was happening every single time.
You know what else I noticed too, man? Before we let Eddie talk, in the beginning of that fight, it was a hug fest. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like every 10, 15 seconds, Jake Paul was going in for that hug, man. And then every time he released it, Tommy would just hit him with like a 4-piece nugget. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was just inevitable at that point. It happened so many times. There was and then for Jake Paul to before the fight, man. I don't know if you were watching before the fight, but he's going, I, Jake Joseph Paul, swear to God that I'm going to knock out Tommy Fury. And he was just making himself look so stupid, dude. Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? And then for him to say, and he'd said that you're getting the full Jake Paul, the full 100% Jake Paul. And then for him to at the end of the fight say, well, I was sick for 4 out of the 9-week camp. I hurt my arm. Like, what, dude? You just said a half hour ago that we were getting the full 100%. If he would have beat Tommy Fury, he wouldn't have been saying that. You know what I mean? He would have been like, yeah, who's next? I'm in the rankings. Like, shut up. This is why I hate Jake Paul. Honestly, it really is.
He would have never brought that up. And that when I watched his post-fight interview and his post-fight press conference and stuff like that, it was like, like, don't make those excuses. Like, maybe you wake up on the day that you have a fight and you're not feeling the best, but who knows? But like, you still are scheduled to fight. Like, you got to fight regardless of how you feel that day. And like you said, if he did not lose that fight and he won, he would not have brought that up.
No, absolutely not. What's your take, Ed?
I definitely think Fury won the fight. I don't know how that one judge scored it, Jake Paul. I really don't know how you could have gave Jake Paul one. I don't know how a judge could have just gave Jake Paul the fight, because I definitely think Tommy Fury outboxed him. You could tell that Jake Paul was gassed through round 3 through, I believe they fought 6 rounds, right? Or
8.
yeah,
It was 8, I think.
3 through 8. You could just tell Jake Paul was gassed. Fury landed so much more punches and stuff, and like how you guys were saying, Jake Paul was really reliant on that overhand right, and Tommy Fury gave him multiple things that he didn't know was coming. Although that Jake Paul did knock him down once, I don't think it was enough that the judges could have scored it enough that Jake Paul to win the fight. I just think Fury outboxed him all around. And how you said about the excuses and how he said he was going to give 100%. He said at the end of the fight that he was sick out of the 4 to 9 weeks. I don't think that's an excuse. Like he said, he looked like all over social media. He was so cocky. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to beat the hell out of this kid."
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah, blah. And now look what happened. He lost. He was gassed.
Why didn't you mention that a couple weeks ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you could have been like, if you really were sick, say it before the fight. So then we know that if you box shitty, then we know why.
Exactly.
But also at the same time, if he goes into the fight saying he's sick or whatever, that's basically an excuse right from the get-go. So.
But he wasn't saying that. He was saying he was going into it saying he's at 100%. And he lost, and then he started saying, "Well, I was sick." Like, no, you weren't, bro. You were fine. You were posting videos on Instagram, like Eddie said, punching the bag. You were fine.
And this fight was due for a long time. Like I remember when this was talked.
Like 2.5 years, man.
Talked about before Jake Paul even fought Ben Askren.
Yeah,
it was talked about for a long time, and I'm happy Jake Paul got what he got. Like, yeah, I guess like Tommy Fury said that Jake Paul is an experienced boxer, but I really don't think that he is. Like he fought Nate Robinson, who's 5'4". He fought Ben Askren, who got knocked out in 3 seconds by Jorge Masvidal. Like he's facing scrubs. And don't get me wrong, Tommy Fury ain't a scrub. He put up as much of a fight as he could, but Tommy killed him. So,
I will say though that Silva's not a scrub. He is old, so that is definitely against him.
but he's also 50.
That's what I mean. Silva's old.
He's not a scrub, but he's 50 years old, dude. He's not as strong as a young man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wouldn't say Woodley's a scrub either, since Woodley knocked him once, but like, I don't think Woodley, like. I honestly think that fight was rigged. Like, I don't think Woodley's getting knocked out like that. So,
I think there's a lot of variables to it. Yeah. That Woodley fight, I think you could argue the way that he fell into that punch that he might have maybe fell in the bag right there. But
and then like after the fight, they're friends and stuff. Like Jake's giving him Rolexes and like
they're
all buddy now. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's all for the whole publicity stunt with making money.
It is, man. Like it is.
But I think if Jake takes that rematch against Tommy, I'm going to take Jake again, even though I was wrong on the first time. I think.
You're good.
I was going to say if Jake can fix that problem of just constantly trying to go for the overhand right against him, I don't know if they saw something in the camp that like Jake was trying to exploit or something, or like. I honestly don't know what that showing was, but if Jake could fix that and really just not continuously go after that and let Tommy know like he's coming with that, I think Jake wins maybe a rematch. I don't know, but I mean Tommy really showed up. I really didn't think I did not think Tommy was gonna.
I told you, dude. I've been telling you for a long time. You can't even say that I haven't been.
I don't really think Paul's defense is that like. Honestly that good either, because when Fury was landing all those shots, Paul was just going for the hook. So
Right.
Yeah.
What were you saying
And
before, Mike?
Tom, like Jake, or I mean Tommy is like he looks just bigger than Jake. You know, like what was it, 180 they
He's
fought
not
at?
only bigger, he's just an all-around better boxer. And that what was the issue for Jake Paul, I think, man. He finally fought a better boxer than he is. Anderson Silva's great, don't get me wrong. But Anderson Silva is not an established boxer. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
And he's out of his prime.
exactly. Like, yeah, and like I said before, he's not. There's a like, you can go in there like how Anderson Silva's in his late 40s and be a boxer and have all this background of fighting experience and be very good. Don't get me wrong, you can be, but when you go and you fight a young man, 23, 24, 25 years old,
he's moving so much faster than
tough
you.
as nails, yeah, moving so much faster than you. He's more durable than you. You know what I mean? It's bound to happen. It is just bound to happen.
Half your age.
Like I think
that's what I'm saying.
If
Yeah,
Silva gets his hands on Paul in an MMA ring, it's over. Like I think
when you're in your 20s, sports wise, you were in the prime of your life. I mean, in like UFC, MMA, you could argue that maybe like your 30s, your early 30s are your prime, but it's
Not
like from
50s.
27 in between 27 and 35 for UFC, I think is like maybe around the prime.
Yeah, not your
For some
50s.
people, not everybody, just some people. But
It's
boxing is completely different.
And it's like, dude, if you're really thinking about it, it's not only just like the whole like professional boxers or UFC fighters, like Father Time's gonna get you regardless. If I see a 50-year-old guy walking down Fifth Street with a cane, I'm gonna beat him up.
You can't
You
beat
know what I
Father
mean? Like,
Time. Yeah.
and I'm not saying I'm like the toughest guy ever. I get my arse kicked all the time.
You're just saying if you see old Reno walking down Third
Yeah,
Street with a cane, you'll jump him.
If I see Reno at 60 years old, I'm gonna crumble him. You know what I mean? I'm 27, so it's like, yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm taking Tommy if they get a rematch for sure. I know you said you're taking Jake.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
Tommy
Jake
too.
again.
I'm definitely taking Tommy. I think that Jake will be more prepared for Tommy in this case if they fought again, but I think Tommy he's a fury, dude. You know what I mean? He's a fury. So
I also feel like Paul's never lasted. Oh, like he's fought, like obviously he's boxed, but he's never lasted as many rounds with a real boxer. So like you could tell he was gassed, but Fury wasn't. But Fury's fought. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
That was
right.
his first actual boxer he fought. I mean,
Yeah.
he lasted with Tyron Woodley the same amount of rounds.
That was the biggest fight for both of them.
Yeah.
Tommy just bested him.
Yeah.
But yeah, going off of that, man, John Jones, #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Saturday night, everyone's doubting him. I don't want to hear that no more, dude. After Saturday night, this dude just comes in here 3 years out of the game, a division that he does not recognize at all. 40 pounds, he gains 40 pounds to go in this division. Doesn't know what's gonna happen at all. Goes in, chokes Zergan out in the first round. You cannot argue anymore that John Jones is not the greatest of all time. You cannot. I don't care what anybody says. It's inevitable, and you can't bet against this man ever. And he's fighting Stipe. I think they said it's in July. Stipe's great, don't get me wrong, but Stipe's 40 years old. You know what I mean? And John Jones, man, is just looking so sharp. And he's saying how he's feeling the best that he's ever felt, but John Jones is also saying that he only wants to fight one more time. So I feel like if he beats Stipe and finally, or he not my bad, he beats a GOAT, then what else is there for John Jones to even do? You know what I mean? If he retires, that he has the best legacy in combat sports besides like boxing. I mean, like MMA. You know what I mean? He has the best legacy. There's no doubt about it. But what do you think about him shooting up the rankings like that? Do you think Volkanovski still deserved it, or do you think it was cool of them to put John Jones at #1?
I just think for all the time that John Jones has been out, you know, and to come back and move up and do all that stuff was just incredible. And he's stunned everybody throughout his entire career. So it was like I've been saying since leading up to this fight. I obviously wanted to see him fight Ngannou. Got backed out of. He ended up fighting Cyril Gane, which is still like you're moving up in a weight class. John Jones hasn't fought in so long, and he moves up. He just demolishes him within a minute, and it's like leading up to that fight is like some people doubted him and stuff, but like I always was saying, like it's John Jones, so like I was like, maybe the time he's been off and like the weight difference or whatever, like might be a factor, but like I never counted John Jones out. Like you just can't count him out. It's John Jones, and anybody to say that he's not the GOAT is absolutely crazy.
You don't watch MMA if you don't consider John Jones the GOAT.
I know, like people will say like Anderson Silva's up there and all this stuff.
At this point, you can't, dude. He took 3 years out of the game, climbed up 40 pounds, and dominated him in the first round. Not only did he dominate the fight, he choked him out in the first round.
And I don't think John Jones stops at that either. I think John Jones goes through Stipe and then
runs through him.
Possibly they could set up a fight with Ngannou again. But I don't think John Jones just retires.
Dana White came out and said that the John Jones Ngannou will never happen in the UFC.
Why? Because Ngannou signed that PFL.
Well, he said Ngannou will never fight in the UFC again. They've just tried. They worked with him for so long, and they just won't work with him anymore.
Would that be on his end, or if Ngannou came?
Both of them, I guess.
So if Ngannou,
I'm pretty sure Dana was saying that like he wouldn't take Francis back in the UFC.
I think that's baloney. I think if Ngannou comes to him and says I want to fight in the UFC, I feel like it's a big draw. You know what I mean? To make a lot of money. But
then again, when does Ngannou? He doesn't fight often. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you don't.
He's not really a cash cow.
Yeah,
he's had that injury for a long time, and pretty much the whole time he was champion, he's been injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't just sit there and hang on to the belt forever if you're not going to fight. You know what I mean? And John Jones was willing to. And they worked with Francis for about 2.5 years trying to figure out a contract with him. And in my opinion, like I said before, I think I said it on the first episode of this, I think Francis was scared. I just don't think he has what it takes to beat John Jones. And Francis is good, don't get me wrong. He has the hardest punch in the world. He obviously has the world record for it. He could do some serious damage to John Jones if he connected to him or if he connected on him, but I don't think he would do that. You know what I mean? Jones is just great at everything. He's not just great at his stand-up. He's a great wrestler. He's great at jiu-jitsu. He's a great kickboxer. He's good at everything.
And that's what makes UFC great.
And Ngannou's not really good at everything. You know what I mean? Ngannou is a guy that I feel like just kind of relies on that power. You know what I mean? He's good. Yeah. He's really good. But
a lot bigger, so sure.
Yeah, and he's a lot. Yeah, but it's just I think when it comes down to the style of like that is in MMA, Jones beats him.
I definitely think that Jones is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the MMA because like you got to think for when he was a light heavyweight, he dominated. He faced some of the best people to ever step foot in the UFC ring: Daniel Cormier, Dominic Reyes, Sean Soman. Like he beat a bunch of young guys that dominated the light heavyweight division as like he did. But to come up to a heavyweight division and beat Cyril Gane, a guy that it took Ngannou 5 rounds in the decision to beat in 2 minutes and 4 seconds is insane.
That's what I'm saying.
So I definitely think you got to give this guy not only the number 1 pound for pound fighter, but the GOAT to ever, like he's the greatest of all time, never stepped foot in the UFC ring in my opinion. I also saw something really cool about how John Jones got the guillotine in on who did he just fight?
Cyril Gane.
Yeah, Cyril Gane. My bad. I just said his name. I didn't like that. But Henry Cejudo, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
He was training with Henry Cejudo. And like Cejudo literally predicted how I don't know if you guys saw it at all, but Cejudo literally predicted how Jones was going to win this fight.
Well, Cejudo was training.
Yeah, Cejudo was training Jones. Like, you have him against the cage, like hit him once in the head and then get the
Mhm.
guillotine, and that's exactly how he won. So I thought that was pretty cool. That
Yeah, I saw the video of that.
he's training with another fighter, and not only is he training with him, like the guy literally said, "Do this when you're against the cage," and he won off the guillotine. So I think that's
Cejudo is great, man. He's an Olympic champion back in I think 2008, Olympic gold medalist. He has a fight coming up too. Where he's fighting Sterling for the belt, which
I'm excited about that.
I think Cejudo is going to beat Sterling, man. He's going to be another one that comes back after some time and gets the belt back. You know what I mean? Henry Cejudo is one of the best wrestlers out there, without question. He coaches a ton of guys in the UFC, man, that are great at wrestling. You know what I mean? Like this, Henry Cejudo doesn't get the credit that he deserves, in my opinion. He really doesn't. He's great. He's done a lot of things for the game. He really has, and I can't wait to see him come back. And I like Sterling. I think he's pretty good too, but I just think Cejudo all around and just his mentality, man, too. He was a double champ. You know what I mean? He was a double champ. So his mentality is just on another level, I think, compared to Cejudo. And I don't know if Eddie probably doesn't remember because he doesn't really watch the UFC, but Mike, you might. Sterling won his belt when Peter Yan kneed him in the face.
Yeah, I remember Peter Yan.
And he hasn't really fought much since that. So he's only fought, like, I think twice.
Sterling's going to have a way bigger reach on Cejudo.
He is, and he's also gained. He's also more fit now than he was back when he fought Peter Yan and when he got kneed in the face. You know what I mean? Sterling's a lot more fit and he looks a lot more durable, and he's also, in my opinion, better. So,
and there's no shame in losing to Peter Yan. He is probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Peter Yan fights this week. He fights on Saturday. I can't wait to watch that. We'll be filming a pod after that for sure. For sure, man. But yeah, going off all that, let's get into Alexa Grasso, man. One of the biggest upsets I've seen in a long time.
Man.
In a long time, dude. The way that she took Shevchenko's back on that, man, and ended up choking her out was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. How do you take that position on her, dude? Shevchenko is beating her the entire fight. Yeah, especially in the ground game too. For her to just dial in like that, man, is nuts. Absolutely crazy. And now she's a champion because of it. That's madness.
Yeah, she really surprised me because I think everybody and their mothers thought Valentina was going to win that fight. I mean, Valentina's arguably the best woman fighter of all time. So it's like to see
Nunes.
Yeah.
Nunes. Maybe if they got a trilogy going because they've already fought before, Nunes and Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Maybe if they got a trilogy going and Shevchenko won, then you could. And obviously, if she comes back and beats Grasso for the belt, then I think you could argue it. But I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely think Amanda Nunes is the best of all time.
There's no doubt in the world that Valentina was winning every round. Like, there's no doubt in the world. It was just, and I thought, she's gonna play defense for the last 2 rounds or whatever it was, and just right off into the sunset, still champ. Like, that's the end of it. And then it just stunned me. Just watching it, like, I was like, whatever, this is gonna be a boring fight for the rest of the time because Valentina's just gonna play defense and let her win the belt or hold the belt. And then next thing you know, it was just like in the snap of a finger, she's on her back like a monkey and has her in a chokehold.
Wrapped up in a choke.
Yeah, and it was like, wow. And I was like, as soon as that happened and she had her in that choke, I was like, she's definitely going to tap. And she ended up tapping. And, like, I mean, you like to see new champions and stuff like that. But I kind of don't like to see.
Not her, man. Not Valentina.
I kind of don't like to see Valentina lose just because, like, she's one of the all-time greats. So it's like.
She's one of my favorites.
And I think if they fight 10 more times, I think Valentina wins the next 9. So.
Me too.
Yeah, I definitely think Valentina was winning that whole fight. I was watching it, and, like, Valentina was just pounding her the whole time. But like, when Grasso got that position, like, when she got her down, you could just tell it was over. Like, when she got the choking, it was a choke. Like, you could just tell that Valentina was about to tap because the move that she pulled was just so beautifully executed. Like, it was just so smooth and so nice, that takedown. I texted Steve right when I saw it. Like, it was just
he
it
did.
was just a thing of beauty, honestly. And
Did
like,
you guys see too? Did you take notice? My bad for cutting you off. But did you take notice how long she had that choke in, just getting it tighter and tighter? Like Shevchenko was about to pass out, dude. She was
didn't
about
want
to
to
pass
tap.
out. She was so red. Yeah, she was so red. She was about to faint. That's why she tapped. Honestly, even Joe Rogan was saying it. Like you could see it in her face. Her head looked like it was about to pop. Like she had that choke in. Nice. But what were you saying, Ed?
Like, it's just crazy how quick, like at one point Valentina was pounding her in, and then the next moment Gross is on her back and she's on the ground choking her out. Like, it was just crazy. Like, I just thought it was just a really good fight throughout the whole thing. Valentina was definitely winning throughout the rounds. Before the rounds, Grossa won. But like how I said, that takedown was just beautifully executed, and she got it in, and she earned that. She actually really did earn that.
That it was, man.
I'm,
That's what I
I'm
said to Mike too.
I'm sure, like in her corner, going into that round, their corner. I'm sure she felt it too. Like she was losing that fight, and the only way you're going to win is a submission or a knockout because Valentina had way more takedowns and was just controlling the fight and dominating. And Valentina's corner was probably just saying, listen, let's play some defense here and just if
And
you're
just
going to
win
get
the
it
fight
5 rounds and win this fight, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Grosso definitely knew going into that round that like for the rest of the fight it's either a submission or a knockout or you're not winning a decision. There's no way.
There was some people that were saying, man, not a while back, but I want to say like a week ago. I'm in this like group thing, and I know Luke's in it too. You might be in it too, Mike. It's like an MMA community thing on Facebook. And people posting it all the time, and I was seeing posts all week saying Alexa Grasso is about to shock the world and beat Valentina, and I kept seeing posts about it, and I was just thinking in the back of my head like, there's no way that she beats Valentina, because I like Valentina, man. I know that what she's done. She was on an 8-win streak. You know what I mean? She's just a dominant force, and yeah, I didn't think that there was any way that she was gonna get this upset, and she did, which is nuts.
Yeah, I didn't see
now.
nothing on that, but that's crazy.
And with that win, I'm pretty sure that there's 3 Mexican champions now.
Yeah,
Rodriguez interim, but still a champion's a champion. Brandon Morano obviously is champion, and now Alexa Grasso. So that's pretty cool, man. And Brandon Morano and Alexa Grasso are both young, so they could. I know Morano's gonna have a reign for a long time, man. He's 29 years old, and when he fought Davison this time around, he looked good. He really did look good, man. He was getting out of like almost everything that Davison tried to get on him, and it was just say what you want about that fight, but Morano would have won that fight either way, I think. And yeah, he's gonna have a nice little title reign here. He's only 29 years old. I see him going on a nice little win streak, maybe a 6 or 7, if not more.
Just possibly entering his prime, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, dude. And he's good. He's been good for a long time. Not a long time, but a couple years he's been good. So that was his 4th fight with Davison. So yeah, that's an exciting thing to see. And hats off to Mexico, man, on your 3 champions. That, man, I wanna get into Shavkat a little bit. He's calling out Kobe Covington. 17 fights, man, 17 finishes for Shavkat. What do you think about that, dude? He's just going in here, and it seems like he's just either choking out or he's getting TKO or knockout on everybody. And now he's calling Kobe out. He's saying, Kobe, your title shot. That's what's next. So, what do you think on that?
Yeah, first of all, I was thinking, what, Ed, did you have to get a little laugh in there? Is that what you had to do? No, but Shavkat, I didn't know much about Shavkat until like you really introduced me to him, and like watching that fight with Jeff Neal it was good. Jeff Neal landed some good shots and stuff like that, but you could tell Shavkat was in control the whole fight. And to be 17-0 is absolutely unbelievable. Like
finishes, dude. Not only 17-0, 17 finishes.
And that's what I mean. Like a lot of people didn't even realize how crazy it was that like Khabib was 27-0, 28-0, 29-0, like at that point. But like, dude, this guy's finishing people at will.
Yeah, he's finishing everybody.
So it's like I really do believe he deserved a title shot. if he's going to go after Covington, I would love to see that matchup because
Me too.
Kobe's not a bad fighter. You know, he's one of the better fighters you could get, and I think that would be the next stepping stone. Who's the belt holder in that division?
Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards, right? Because he got Usman. So
those are the three people that I think that Shavkat would not beat, though, is Kobe Covington, Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman.
I think he would beat Leon.
Maybe Leon, because Leon got lucky with that head kick, man. He would not be champion right now. You know what I mean?
And he's not going to beat Usman again if they fight.
There's no chance. Chance.
Yeah, I think for Shavkat, his route to the belt would be get through Covington, and then who knows? I don't know what's going to happen if Usman and Edwards are going to fight again. I think they are, right?
You think they are, bud? It's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so they're going to fight again. Whoever loses that match, which I'm going to say Leon, I'm going to say that Shavkat's going to have to go through Kobe, get through Leon, and then get to Usman, which would be insane to see. If Shavkat could literally get through those two and get to Usman, that would be really, really interesting to see what happens in that fight because Usman's a different animal, and like you said, Leon's not beating him again.
There's no way.
I think Kobe would have a better chance again at beating Usman.
Yeah, he would. He would. But if Shavkat finishes Covington,
that'd be crazy.
Then okay. Then that the welterweight division has a serious problem. If he finishes Kobe Covington, the welterweight division has a very serious problem.
That might be the best division right now.
Maybe. I would maybe lightweight though. I would probably say lightweight. You got to think of the dogs that are in lightweight, dude. Islam, Gaethje, Poirier, McGregor, Chandler.
When's Gaethje fighting? A couple weeks.
Couple weeks that comes up too, yeah.
Yeah, he'll win.
Yeah, that's coming up. That'll be a good one too. You got anything on that, Ed?
Yeah, I was going to say that Shavkat, like that fight with Neil, it was really just stand and bang the whole time. Like there was really Neil didn't attempt to take down at all. And Shavkat was 0 for 4 with takedown, so it was really just stand and bang the whole time. I really thought it was a good fight.
How about the takedown defense on Jeff Neal, though, man?
Like
How about the defense on him?
Yeah, like there was really good. Like all the both of their takedown defense were really good. Well, Neal didn't attempt to take down, but his takedown defense was actually really
phenomenal. It might have been 100%.
Yeah, he was 0. No, it wasn't even a takedown when he submitted. He tapped him when he was.
It was. They were against the cage. So his takedown defense was 100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Neal had 100% takedown defense, but Shavkat landed so many more strikes and significant strikes. Shavkat landed 120 strikes and 130 of them.
Which is insane.
113 of them were significant.
And I just want to say too that his mouthpiece fell out for about 2 minutes, and Shavkat was just eating punches, man. Even Joe Rogan's saying, like, how doesn't the ref notice this, dude? The mouthpiece is laying right there on the floor.
Yeah.
And Shavkat's just eating all these punches, man. Like, that takes a dog, dude. That guy is a serious problem.
Yeah, so I definitely think that the whole Covington thing, like, I know Covington just I think his last fight he beat Jorge Masvidal, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this should be a good fight to see. And like how you guys said, Usman and Leon Edwards. Edwards did get lucky last time. He just had a really good fake that Usman with the head kick. I think Usman's probably going to kill him this time. But if Shavkat could, like how you said, could finish Covington, I definitely think he has a really good shot to be at the top of the welterweight division. But if Shavkat were to beat Covington but then Usman beats Edwards, would Edwards have a rematch clause or no?
No.
Or could
Wait, what did you say?
So you know how Edwards beat Usman for the title?
Yeah.
If Usman were to beat Edwards again, like he did the first time, right? Because they fought 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
If he were to beat him like he did the first time, but Edwards beat him the second time, if Usman was to beat him again, does Edwards have the rematch clause?
No, because Usman would be winning the.
So I think Shavkat would just jump up to beat Usman. Mm-hmm. I think Shavkat would honestly beat Leon Edwards. Only if we see him finish Covington, I think he has he should just get the title shot.
Only if he beats Covington, yeah.
Like finishes it, not by decision, just like submit or TKO.
I'm glad you're getting into the UFC, dude, and starting to watch it. because now we can start having you on here a little bit.
Thanks, buddy.
I think.
Are we looking forward to that?
I really do think though that nobody's gonna want to see Usman and Edwards again. When not even if it's when Usman dismantles him, because Usman's not happy about it.
There's
The
no
whole
chance.
world knows.
There's no chance.
The whole world knows it was a lucky kick, and Usman was winning the whole fight anyway. So Edwards is lucky to even have one victory on him.
That's one of the biggest upsets of all time. It's crazy because that happened, and then a few months later, following it, the Alexa Grasso happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you guys were talking about.
That's nuts, dude. Those are two massive.
Both of their corners were like, dude, it's like because I think Grasso won in the 4th or 5th round, correct?
Even Adesanya
Yeah.
Pereira, dude.
Yeah.
Pereira, if you go back and watch that fight, you will literally hear Pereira's corner say, "Dude, this is it. It's knockout or nothing." That's not exactly what they said because they're Brazilians. But when you go back and you watch them translate the video, that's literally what they say. They're like, "You need to knock him out."
Leon's side said exactly that. They said you need to.
Mhm.
They literally
And he
said,
did, and they practiced that kick.
Yeah. So it's actually crazy because, like, I was gonna say that earlier. Like Grasso won in the 5th or 4th round, right?
It was, I believe, the last round.
Yeah, last round. So it's actually crazy how it's actually crazy because obviously Usman was winning that whole fight and Valentina was winning that whole fight. It's actually crazy how how these competitors are getting beat the whole fight. They know they're down and they just want it. So then they take like how Grasso had that one really good takedown and how Edwards got the kick. Like it's just crazy how in just one moment everything could change.
That's why I love watching fights, dude, because it's not like watching football when you're up by a ton of scores, you know the game's over. You know what I mean? If you're up on a fight card 4 rounds to 1 or 4 rounds to none and you're going into the 5th round, that knockout is very possible still. You know what I mean? And that's honestly the beauty about watching this type of thing. That's why I love watching fights, dude. It's just great.
The best was seeing Jeff Neal just fold after he gets.
It was so crazy, man, seeing him. I can't believe he finished him like that. That's so
credit, though, to have 100 takedown.
Yeah, you have to give
props to Jeff Neal. You gotta give him credit. Like he had a good fight. Like
and he's still good too. I mean, I think he was 15-4 going into that fight. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was going. And he dealt with a lot of problems before that. Like he was in the hospital and stuff. He had a lot of health issues going on. In like the previous months that led up to that fight. So you have to give your hats off to Jeff Neal there. But I just think Shavkat is way too much to handle for a lot of dudes in that division, besides very few. And who knows, he might really end up beating Covington. But another dog I want to get into, man, is Bo Nickel. He's another one that ran through Jamie Pickett. First round tap out. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't believe the hype around Bo Nickel because I guess people just don't think that he has what it takes to be like successful in the MMA in the years to come. Me personally, I think that wrestling is probably the most important aspect you can have in MMA, and Bo Nickel is a master at wrestling. You know what I mean? He's one of the best wrestlers on the entire planet, if not the best wrestler on the planet. You know what I mean? He's ridiculous. His wrestling he's absolutely gifted. And if he can just learn in the next couple of years, man, while he's entering his prime, if he can just learn, like just get better stand-up and better jiu-jitsu all around, he will be a champion, Bo Nickel. People don't believe the hype around him, like I said. I believe in the hype around Bo Nickel. I think he's the next big thing within the next couple of years. Once a few dudes here retire in his division, Bo Nickel's next up, man. You know what I mean? Some people think that it's like that dudes like Patty Pimblett are the next cash cow and stuff like that. Me, I don't think so, dude. I think Bo Nickel is the next big thing that we will see in the UFC. Like talking like that, you know what I mean? Like cash cow type thing. A lot of people like him, you know what I mean? A lot of people watch college sports and respect Penn State for their wrestling. He's a standout Penn State wrestler. You know what I mean? 4-time champion NCAA. If he wasn't in the UFC right now, he would be doing like other things in the Olympics or something like that. But yeah, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts on. Do you think that the hype of Bo Nickel is real or not?
I definitely think the hype on Bo Nickel is real. I was watching highlights of him in the Dana White Contender Series, and his shoot when he shoots is just like It's just like that. Like he's so good at taking someone down. Like I definitely think he has a bright future in the UFC. The guy was on the main card for his first fight. Like it's just I think the guy really does have a bright future in the UFC. Especially like how you said wrestling's definitely a big part. Like how Khabib was so dominant. He was so dominant by wrestling.
If
So
you're gonna master anything, if you could pick to master any aspect in MMA, for me it would be wrestling.
yeah, so I definitely think that wrestling is the most important aspect. If Bo Nickel could, how you said, gain ground game and like heavier punches, I think he could be a real threat in his division.
I was just thinking, like, how Pickett was a good matchup for him, though, just because, like, it wasn't the craziest matchup. But then again, going into the fight, Nickel was only 3-0. So, I mean, it's a good matchup for him. And, like, a lot of people don't respect his striking and a lot of that stuff. But, like you said, he's one of the best wrestlers, if not the best in the UFC. And he's in such a young career.
I'm saying in the world. He's one of the
Yeah.
best wrestlers in the world.
And a lot of people going back to when Habib started and even toward the end of Habib's career, nobody really respected his striking that much, you know? Like he clipped Connor with that big right in like the third round or something like that or whatever it was. But like a lot of people didn't respect that, but the guy was still 29-0. So like he's proven you could win with better wrestling than striking. Like that's a like you said, it's a better recipe for UFC
Exactly.
than being a stand up and just go at it, Do I believe the hype's real around him? I'm gonna buy into it to a certain degree of I don't know how long he could go being undefeated or what his next fight's gonna look like or who, Dana's gonna match him up with and all this stuff.
That's
Or
kind of how I think it'll go too. I think it all depends who Bo Nickel fights, who they put in front of him, who is. I mean, will he end up getting a new team around him? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
what if he went somewhere and just got so dominant at striking in the next couple of years, and then, like, I don't think Bo Nickel will be a champion anytime recently. Don't get me wrong, but he's also only 28 years old. You know what I mean? By the time he's 32, 33 is when I think he's going to be a champion. Within the next 5 years or so is when I think Bo Nickel, he still has a lot of time to grow. Even in the wrestling aspect, dude, he can still do a lot of things in the wrestling aspect. And you know who I think would be a great coach for? I mean, Bo Nickel coaches guys how to wrestle. He coaches guys in the UFC how to wrestle. But you know who I think would be a great guy, and we talked about him earlier, for Bo Nickel to have in his corner, is Henry Cejudo.
I knew you would say that. Yeah.
Is Henry Cejudo. 100%, dude. If them two minds together, like just going about wrestling, would be insane, absolutely insane. And if he can get somebody like, I don't even know, man, who I think would be a good striking coach for him. Maybe even like Conor McGregor, dude. I could see Conor McGregor end up just being a coach in corners, man, in the next years to come too. Like not anytime soon, obviously, because he's coaching tough and has a UFC fight with Chandler coming up. But who knows where Conor McGregor is going to be at in the next 3 years? You know what I mean? Because he's not going to be having main event fights. Like, you know what I'm saying? Conor McGregor could very well be a striking coach in the next 3 years. And if Bo Nickel surrounds himself with talent like that, guys that can really build him like that, he's going to be extremely successful in the UFC. And like Mike said, too, I don't mean to cut you off again. I saw you about to talk again, Pizza Boy.
You're right.
But I just lost my train of thought. Go ahead until I get it back.
I was just saying. I was just saying about.
Yeah.
Now I lost my train of thought. You gotta be kidding me. No, I was gonna say about Bo Nickel, like, and it's not something that can't be fixed. Like, you've seen guys even in the UFC like fix their striking and become better at it with the right coaches and like the right like work ethic in it. And like another good example of in any professional sport, like, Jalen Hurts, I thought he sucked with his arm and everything. And like look how much he improved over the course of just one
It's all
offseason.
about the coaching that surrounds you.
Yeah, so one off season, like his arm became way better. So it's like, well,
Mhm.
Bo Nickel surrounds himself with good coaches and wants to actually put the work in to get better at striking. He will be a champion at someday because his wrestling is just that elite.
And I'm not saying either that Conor McGregor is going to go coach Bo Nickel. You know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah,
saying
it's like a
dudes like
possibility.
that, dudes that are getting older and that know a ton about the striking department. That is what Bo Nickel needs to surround himself by. Or you just get yourself a good coach like dudes over there at American Top Team and stuff like that. Or you could just go to like, I don't think he would ever go to like City Kickboxing because he's not a kickboxer, he's a wrestler. But you could always go to like a school like that. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but like you said earlier when I lost my train of thought, this is what I was gonna say. I'll buy into the Bo Nickel hype to a certain degree. Like you said too, I think that's a good point. Because you haven't really seen, I mean, he has a first round finish, you know what I mean? He said before the fight, like you know how they do those little trailer things before big fights.
Yeah.
Bo Nickel was saying he can naturally go 15 minutes. You know what I mean? He can just naturally go 15 minutes because he's a wrestler. You know what I mean? But what happens when he's in a 25-minute fight, a championship fight that is going the distance? You know what I mean? Can Bo Nickel hang with a champion for 25 minutes?
And
Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
specifically a guy who works on his defense the whole time is
Right,
going to make him stand and bang.
right. And so I
There's a
think
whole
until you see Bo Nickel go the distance with somebody, I don't think you really know what you have with him. But I am going to buy into the hype. Like I said, I think he is going to be very good.
yeah, for
And
now.
but he was just better than. I mean, did you see the odds that that was on Bo Nickel and Jamie Pickett? Dude, he was favored by like 1,000.
Wow.
It was literally ridiculous. Yeah, like if it was nuts. The odds were insane. You have anything on that, Ed?
I saw how you were saying Jamie Pickett was like plus 1,600. Like if you were literally
Yeah.
$100 on him, you was $1,600.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
That's
So
insanity.
how you said he has a first round finish. Like I'm not gonna buy into the hype just yet, just for the fact like we don't know how good he is at striking. We don't know how he is at kickbox. Like he's only really a wrestler as of right now. So like we got to see the kid improve. I'm gonna buy into it now just because how you said the guy has a first round finish, which is really good. Like which is honestly crazy for his first fight, like his first real fight. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely gonna buy into the hype, but I definitely think as over the years, if he gets coaching, like you said, like I definitely think McGregor could be a good coach, and how you said Cejudo, like if Cejudo is willing to help John Jones beat Cyril Gahn, like I'm sure Henry Cejudo has no problem helping Bo Nickel.
Helping Bo Nickel grow. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I 100% agree. You got anything on that, Pizza Boy? Anything else you want to touch on? You're muted.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. I'm good on that.
All right. We'll end it with that then. Thank you guys for watching. And hey, full send drop tonight. Get your merch.
Oh man.
Thank you guys for watching. And we'll be back after Saturday, after Peter Yan wins his fight. Cheers.